It's been about 4 days since the last recording. Just for reference, when I recorded Your Turn to Die, Never 7, Never 17, how it generally went is I'm uploading those 2 episodes a week, but when I recorded them about 6 to 8 recordings per week. I'm saying 8 because sometimes there'd be 2 in one day. As far as the logistics of my life is concerned, that was very problematic. And that didn't happen because I wanted to. It more happened because I got sucked into the game. And it was literally like addicted to the video game, such that I couldn't put it down. I kept coming back to recording it. But this thing, I try to space it out a little bit more. So it's going to be recorded more like 3 episodes a week. Now, it's going to be uploaded long after I record it, so that's not really going to matter as far as the upload schedule is concerned. But how well I'm going to remember what happened last time is how well I would remember something that happened 4 days ago. It's not going to be as immediate. But hopefully, when I'm playing, I'll have had more sleep and I'll play better as a result. That's the idea. Cool. I'll continue on. We're like partway through this case, about halfway through. I'm in the middle. And there is a woman, sort of like the short version of it is there was a character that the other witnesses, the starting witnesses of the trial, just tried to hide this character's existence in her entirety. And this, I imagine, is going to be rather short because the first trial is supposed to act like a tutorial. And so, it's probably going to end with this. So, essentially, who did it and who we're supposed to pin the blame on doesn't seem like it's going to be very twisty. It's just going to be, you found out, you finally get the witnesses to admit this person exists. Then you call this person to the stand. This is the person who we're going to accuse and is going to break down. So hopefully, within about an hour or so of this, we'll get to a breakdown, which is what Ace Attorney is famous for. Yeah, hope I finish. Then we can finally get through this first trial. I was sort of in the mindset of like the first trial is supposed to be a tutorial, and so I was hoping that I could blast through it in say 1 hour. It's already been 3 hours of footage, and I still haven't finished it. I guess you could say one or two things. One is I'm still stuck in the tutorial. The second is you could say, well, it isn't really a tutorial at this point. It's a full-on case. Or you could just say, oh, this game is just really long. Which, I mean, that's a good thing. It's more content. It's more for the money if it's long. Yes. Given sometimes these things are needlessly long. There's a lot of padding to make them long. Quantity without quality. Excellent work, Rinosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. You would be dead. It was almost unbelievable, I mean, looking at you in there. Except, I did all the work. So... You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Well, that happens a lot with these things, where while you're doing it, for me it's mostly hiking that's like this, you're like, this sucks, I can't wait till I finish this and get over with it and get into a state for which I have already done this and moving on to the next thing. But then, like, eventually you'll get this bug for doing it, you want to do it again. So it's, yeah, it's like, and then you kind of forget how much you hated it while you were doing it previously. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your Phantom Lady at least. Miss Jazai Brett. It moved on before I could... Oh, auto's on. Oh, phooey. Oh, dear. Now, this could be Giselle. It could also be Jazai. Depends on what language it is. If it's French, it could be Jazai, because French is just... Stick a bunch of random letters together and say it's pronounced like this. A student from Great Britain, is she? Okay. That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I am sure of. Yes, I can see that. So about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed that there was a gun lying on the floor, and just after I bent down and picked it up, bang happened. I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me in some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking about the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I had no idea what happened outside in the dining area. That's going to matter for the next section of the trial. That Ryanosuke was in the pantry. The pantry specifically. Okay. Oh, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy, our justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, if the lawyer can have an arbitrary assistant that does all the work of the lawyer for him, making which one is the lawyer just being a name, why does this matter? Like, the situation isn't actually all that different if Kazumi was the lawyer. It's purely semantics. I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? He has to go study overseas because we need to get him out of the picture. Because the tutorial character has to get out of the picture. The tutorial character can only be the tutorial character for the first trial. So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma? Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to squash your case. But I've no doubt that your pair will put up a good fight right to the last. Best of luck. And the first case is always, it's the one where you don't have any evidence going into it, which makes it the biggest Hail Mary of all of them. Unless there's a fourth case like that. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something that I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. So we're gonna get some evidence presented at the last minute. That's why I take it. Defendant Naruhodo. Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. Oh, we got more respect this time. It's time. Let's go back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what hit it. Who's got more upbeat? Kazuma? Right. Thank you. Really? What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then oh no. I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. It's like, that... Gotta say, believe in the me that believes in you just to be cheesy. I have not seen that anime because I have not seen any animes. I've seen bits and pieces of one, actually. So, all I know that from is from references to it. As a lawyer and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Honestly, if you're convicted, you'll probably get executed, I mean, you won't, like... I don't know, like, that should probably be the one thing in your mind, honestly. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll say the thank yous for after the trial. But you didn't. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. It's an extra large portion, of course. The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryonosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Ouchie, have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And
Thanks to a certain young stipeling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely that the good revelations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Well, you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders. And our nation founders? Does he mean flounders? Is it spelled wrong? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryanosuke? How do you mean? Wait, what? Oh, it's not a question. It's just, you really have nothing to worry about, Ryanosuke. What do you mean? Secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan, or of England? Shut up, you jumped up rookie boy. Jumped up? You and your friend know nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with the great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I don't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there is one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. I gotta do this gratuitous hero speech. Well said, Ryanosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brats! Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system, and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett. Yes. Your Excellency. I just gave myself a concussion. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea. Someone bring English tea. In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, ahem. Could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course, my name is Satoru Hosunaga. Not you. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at Lock. Yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosunaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. Again, this humor is like padding things out excessively. More importantly, a little earlier today, you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet our description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryanosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Kazuma, She is merely a woman. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you with your name and occupation, please. I cannot do a British accent. Phooey. I'll just leave that there. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what? The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. Well, this adds another bizarre element to it in that if there's a translation layer, the translator can obscure things in that, or just straight up lie inside that layer. So it's like hard to tell whether or not something being said is something Giselle said or something that Hosonaga said. In other words, putting words in her mouth potential here is very high. She is a visiting research student currently enrolled in Yume University's medical facility. My, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird song. As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ranosuke. Okay, so the potential for putting words in her mouth isn't really that high because the lawyers know English. Okay. Simplifying the situation somewhat, the court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says yes. There was a lot of like redacted text. This is a lot more than yes. Oh, what? No. Anyway. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. I'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a preparation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting. When you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Wait, she just responded without the detective having to translate? Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say... Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in the courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Order in the court. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I'll have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. Well, neither did the accused.
Yes!
Oh, this is a condemning testimony indeed. Then you have this yes interjection for Ryanosuke to say no. I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all.
Objection!
Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard, and look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. Yeah, and this is how that Harvard test works, and why it's wrong. No. You're still making the same mistakes, Ranosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took the statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before and reported back to the Bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. Really? Not in the hat? Yeah, I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Unless and until the precise location where the witnesses to have hidden a weapon could be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witnesses' own words on the matter. That's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ranosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we'll need to pull her testimony apart. Her testimony, that is. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Yes, Your Excellency. Let's see what we have here. Bullet did not pass through. Photographic print. To figure out why the beefsteak is on the other side of the table. That's gonna be important. But anyway. Probably not going to have to present for this, so I'm probably gonna have to press. Just my intuition for this. So, gotta waste a bunch of time pressing.
Yes!
After 2 p.m., in fact, that's really quite a late lunch, isn't it?
Objection!
You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are in vogue, isn't that right? Now, wasn't he just at the dentist at noon? No. A decisive English no has quite a sting to it. Not like German, though. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Yes, that all makes perfect sense. Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? Professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak, which makes sense, but we're going to press it just in case. He was unable to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at the Hada clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Here we go. Exactly as it was left? Dear me, what a harrowing experience. To have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water. Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Renosuke, about the witness's last statement? It's very meaningful. The last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has profound bearing on this case.
Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing?
Significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Humph. Well sidestepped, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to... Repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. You're going to remember that. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. That's called the plot. I could really use that phrase. When the plot demands it. I hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Renosuke. I ordered a beefsteak for myself, and the professor and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. Okay. Can we do something with this? There's only one. So, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna present this because it shows only one glass of carbonated water as opposed to two.
Yes!
That's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd, very odd. It is not divisible by two. Dear me, what's odd in the defense's inability to express itself? Renosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers. The cheers. Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be two glasses on the table, not one. You are quite right, counsel. There is only one glass pictured here.
Objection!
Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutia? That's what lawyers are supposed to do, Payne. What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on this case?
Objection!
Minutia, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. Then what did you do that was not reckless? But there should have been two glasses on the table. Or are you going to try to tell me that you can clink with only one? Just clink your glasses. You're quite right. I certainly took two glasses to the table. Inspector, what did the lady say? It seemed that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was all so terrifying, everything that happened.
I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all, she's saying. Well, good gracious. Well, she's not lying. Sorry. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. Oh, please. You must remember that this student had just murdered this lady's luncheon's companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or two in her state of disarray? That's absurd. Oh, really? So, do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable, young and beautiful woman of mischief? What? No, this can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. Using my hand? It would seem she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency, a small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. They tend to carry guns in them. That's what they're primarily used for. So, the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. Good one, Payne. No more pretentious accusations. You have wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed the glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Of course not! Well, I don't know really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Well, just give me a choice and have me say yes, and then well, whatever. Yes, you're right. So she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance there, it's the handbag. Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Ouchie, surely he did not say that you cannot eat from no, it's like, did God tell you that you couldn't eat from any tree in the garden, or whatever that line is? Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You were right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? Or blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire the gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't be seriously suggesting. Inspector Hosunaga. Yes? Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. Now!
Order, order, order. What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor Ouchie? Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bludgeoning incompetence, now she has to endure these unfortunate, uncomfortable accusations. I have to, keep doing this trial. Brilliant work, partner. Except that was really simple. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly, you have no faith in the police. As I said, do not search the lady's handbag after the shooting. Simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. Why are the chairs backwards? This print is a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never. You can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly, so there's no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. I mean, it could have 2 chambers to it. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Violent video game. Order, order. Inspector Hosunaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. The photograph of the handbag has been entered to the court record. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than it was at the start. Kazuma? Sorry, Rinosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. There's more padding out of things. Of course there is. What do you mean, this is it? I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat, while the strong eat. You are wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. Is that a Japanese idiom that sounds kind of weird in English? A fact that you can chew to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Like, why are the chairs backwards? Why is the steak on the wrong side of the table if it was Brett who was eating it? You had to answer these questions. Why is the victim facing the wrong way? Kazuma, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers.
Zuma? What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means, there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little Renosuke Naruhodo, having considered all the evidence placed before me, I hereby... Oh, this is the... Oh. We're gonna wait for,
For what, Miko Toba, like, he was going to prepare, right? He's gonna come up with something at the last minute. But this isn't it, I guess.
Wait, Your Excellency. Renosuke?
I have to be a hero now. I have to be the main character. I have to break out of the tutorial mode. I don't think you can rule in this case yet.
Objection!
This amateurishness is getting tedious.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't argue about it being tedious.
When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. This is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. Why does he have a partial glove? As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection!
This is blatant straw cutting. Look at this photographic print. All it shows are the handbag and the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There is no problem with this evidence. Are you just going to examine that one little thing on the victim's hand? You better know what you're doing, Renosuke. No, he's going to be guilty either way. It doesn't matter. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. We have this, like, shadow or tattoo of an upside-down bull's head on the victim's hand, but I don't see how that has anything to do with anything. But that's how Phoenix Wright tends to work. You have this, like, weird little random detail that somehow matters, which matters more than the obvious things, like, why are the chairs backwards? My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of these rookies' desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There is something about this photograph which just does not seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at this photographic print Inspector Hosunaga submitted before. You will identify to the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. We have to do this. I don't know why this has anything to do with anything. This is so random. But this is how Ace Attorney works. You gotta point out stupid stuff like this, which somehow matters. I forgot how you submit. hit R.
Yes!
Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. It looks like... That is true. It looks almost like a burn or some depression.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new pitfall you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly, that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Telltale interjection. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. It is quite His Excellency. Sure, His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Runosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful.
Yes, you're right. I am. If we could just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise the shutting door back. This is gonna be Ever 17 all over again with these typos. We might be able to prise the shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence... Evidence that irrefutably links the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. So you need to find something that's shaped like a bowl. Don't see it. This is what the thing we present.
Yes!
Is this, Counsel, yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Oh, hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? I am pain. To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. I am now not pain. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
Get to the point! You can't felony with your little bluffs, boy. And if that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. It's like, even after you've already presented the evidence, it keeps stalling beyond that. What in this photograph? What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Yes!
A beefsteak?
Actually, the point is the metal plate the beefsteak was served on.
The plate?
Oh!
Your Excellency, are you alright?
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. Ah. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape.
Ah!
Ryusuke, you genius. I'm just being the main character, though. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. Could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time.
Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks.
Why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosunaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly.
But...
That's a weak argument. I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It is inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I have not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter at La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter.
Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on the piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosunaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right, and the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? He got after he was dead, obviously. Well, if the professor had clearly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would without any question have heard him scream.
Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, I suppose. So, the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it, Ranosuke, do you think? Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn on his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. No man can remain silent when his wrists are burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already? Dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That doesn't make any sense at all. Order, please. Counsel, explain that absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency.
Is this gonna be another one of those, and there was also poison situations?
This was just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who have no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case is turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly unlikely that Miss Brett knows something about it. It's highly likely, though. Incredible.
I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events, especially considering that Ryonosuke talked to him just before he died. I guess it'd be a dead body, a corpse swap or something.
I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But Your Excellency, the justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I can speak Japanese, and I will say I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Ah, Miss Brett, you speak Japanese. Well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country, after all. But then why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Well... You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you have graciously afforded us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson.
Finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ranosuke. Fortunately, I have no idea what the poor man burnt his when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. Is there some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace? Please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Well, that was a really dumb testimony. We're now going to show you the poison. That captivating and highly incriminating and beautiful testimony will go down in Supreme Court's history for completely different reasons than what I'm saying. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that in the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. British English is the coarsest thing in existence. I'm sorry, Brett. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Oh, not at all, not at all. It's like... You're a DB, no offense. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Thanks. Was that a prayer then? No, that's what we call a curse. Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, Counsel, this will be your final cross-examination in this trial, as all the other ones have been and have turned out not to be. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, which you will not because that's not how the plot goes, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? What, are you hyping yourself up to do a squat? Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. Victim's death. I'll press it just cuz.
Yes!
His hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds, so you can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me explain to you something. Sorry. Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? What? What fun. You hadn't realized.
The dear lady is absolutely right.
As your friend, you embarrass me as well as yourself, Rinosuke.
Why didn't you tell me?
Dear Wilson was a true English gentleman.
He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? Ah yes, to think my tiny brain can.
Yes!
Well, I can't. Anyway,
So if you don't choose to press that, then you miss out on knowing the canon fact that Rinosuke's fly was down the whole beginning part of the trial.
Yes!
As you testified before, you were clinking carbonated water, is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink, correct, waiter?
Exactly as you say, sir.
Although,
Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that.
damn you. I have enough English to understand that at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means. Bless you.
I think it means the exact opposite.
Anyway.
As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report shows no other possible causes of death besides the gunshot.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from the ballistic trauma.
Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. As there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put it into this innocent man's life.
But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had been cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if that victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
Objection!
And yet the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right.
Arrgh.
If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. So this is like the important statement, but I don't think I have anything I can present on this. Like the dentist killed him or something? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to press this. I don't have any like good evidence of poison that I could present.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height. However a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Or you could drown them and drain their lungs out. Actually, I think there's a way to tell that too, if you, examine the lungs or something, I don't know. Quite right, dear lady. As far as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. What about pillow strangulation? Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. And you never succeed. Because otherwise we couldn't do this game. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. Heartbreak. If heaven forbid you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
Ah, no, perish the thought. Calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question? Oh, my honor, I take Taketsuchi Ouchi will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions. I would say that's a typo, but Ouchi has been using a lot of, like, really obscure words throughout this entire thing, so probably not a typo. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick it up anyway.
Yes!
Inferior. What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Oh, we can't really press on that, but okay. It doesn't even occur to you, naive detectives, to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. Hehe, killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. She's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchi is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there is something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Rinosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma? What, Rinosuke? There is one thing I noticed, something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her. Inspector Hosunaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, I wonder what Kazumi's thinking. Kazuma. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that.
Yes!
Wait.
How do I interact with this? Oh, I just click it. Detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry, pursue.
I'll explain how to do it now, Rinosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with A and D, you can turn your attention to other people on the stand. While you're looking at the other witness, you'll be able to pursue them with space. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with A and D and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with space and see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Wait. Excuse me.
Yeah, what's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looks like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you would like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? Is the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment? If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's immediately involved in the case. Inspector Hosunaga. Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes, if you don't mind, I would like to speak. Lady is right, our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosunaga, always try to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this for example. This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water, I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there is some left in the bottle, I can see it. One day, our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. But I won't live to see it, but whatever. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept a glass bottle of water as evidence. It just happens. Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank the day of the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Ahem.
Yes!
What is this, the bottle of water?
Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind.
Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? This is so cliche. And also poison cliche.
On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order, order, order. And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Giselle Brett, it was you. Oh, is the name order wrong? Is it just Brett Giselle?
Objection!
This is outrageous. To suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile, have you ever considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you ever even the vaguest thinking that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. Man. The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Kurg. Ahem. If I may, I will silence you forever for this. It is you. You should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady, but what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time.
I don't believe it.
Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And? What did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could not find any trace of poison or any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No. I just got virtually shot. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. And I necessarily have to stop recording right here. So I have to save it and stop recording right at this moment. And that's it.